Good morning, everyone, and welcome, Darren Ardron. We are very happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
We have the opportunity to talk with him. Darren is the managing director of Perdere Groups, one of the largest privately UK dealer group, which in 2022 sold around 5,000 new cars and 50,000 used cars. And I would like to ask Darren, what are the key ingredients for you to develop the used car business, given the high weight that this business has on your company?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity to come and meet you guys today. Key ingredients really for this year have been, we've had to learn to deal with a much different breadth of stock this year. So for example, if I look at our group previously, we almost only used to sell cars 1 to 3 year old. Of course, after COVID now, that's disappeared. So you'll actually see on one of the charts later that we're now having to learn to sell much older used cars, which has meant that we've had to put new processes in our workshops, think about parts opportunities and all sorts. So probably now 40% of all the used cars we're selling are in excess of 5 years old. And that's been one of the key ingredients for driving the growth on volume.
And what you are developing also the used car business concerning the opportunity of electric vehicles.
We are, yes. We started probably about 18 months ago, and we started really just sort of testing the water with used electric vehicles. It was very hard at first. It was very hard for our staff to get their head around used vehicles. It was very hard for customers to understand used vehicles as well. But what we've seen in the last sort of 12 months or so is that actually, because prices have started to drop a little bit on used vehicles, we're developing a market for it, and now around 8% of all the used cars we sell will be alternatively fueled vehicles. So mainly BEV, but starting on the PHEV as well.
So they represent already a good part of your business.
It is a good proportion.
Great. And we know that since many years in the UK, the business model of dealers is strongly influenced positively by after sales. What are the main initiatives you have developed in this area in order to improve the business and the profitability?
Okay, so probably number one was, if we go back to 2015, or 2014 actually, we did not sell service plans. We just used to sell all these cars every year. And we knew through research that customers were going elsewhere to get them serviced. So we started on a program. We set lots of individual tasks, lots of individual targets. And really since that year, we've been selling anything between 12 and 15,000 service plans per year. They're our own service plan. And that's been a huge growth for us in after sales. We've seen retail hours rise, apart from the period of COVID, which obviously was a big concern for everybody. So that's been a huge growth for us there. We have got some challenges at the minute on after sales. We've got massive challenges across the UK with staff, massive challenges with vehicle technicians. So one of the things we have done is we focused hugely on our recovery rates. We always seem to run with relatively low recovery rates, and we've probably grown them over the last 2 years by about 20%. So any cost of labour we've had to increase, we've more than covered that cost on that. But service plans was probably our number one initiative.
Very, very good to know, because also in Italy some dealers are developing similar initiatives, but not with such volumes and such commitment. I have another question for you, because I know that in the UK you are one of the first dealers to try to develop initiatives regarding new mobility solutions and subscriptions. I know that you have a partnership with an important player. Can you tell us something more regarding this initiative?
Yes, for sure. So we partnered with a company called CarZoom. They were relatively new into the industry. They wanted to test the subscription model. We had several different get-togethers with them, and I quite liked the look of what they did. So we partnered up with two brands. We run Mazda and we run MG. We're only testing it with around 25 vehicles on the fleet, but it's not a big fleet. We also have a rental business within the group as well, which is more like nearly 200 vehicles, so significant. But what we've seen with subscription is very different to rental. rental consumers will rent a car or a commercial vehicle for 2 days, 3 days, 1 day sometime. Subscription, most of it is beyond 3 weeks, so it's been quite surprising how it's taken off, and we're permanently running at over 80% utilisation. The only thing we haven't done yet is what I would call a cradle to grave, really. How profitable or not is this area, on the basis that we haven't started to sell the cars yet, because obviously supplying new ones has been challenging up to now. But I would imagine in the next 2 months we'll have a good understanding whether that's been profitable. It's been very surprising how many people have taken it on board.
Interesting. So the beginning is positive. We will see how the things will go on. I have, Darren, a last question for you. Mm-hmm. What are, from your point of view, the main challenges in the next 12, 24 months for UK dealer group?
Okay, so probably the main challenges is new car orders. We've gone through a period of having huge order banks on new cars to almost, the well is dry, as it were. We've gone through a period of the last 12 months where we've carried very little new car stock, and all of a sudden our stocks are rising with huge interest rates. So our stocking charges in the UK are probably 3 times what they were this time a year ago. So that is putting great strain on profitability. We still have a major issue in terms of sourcing used cars. We have a number of disruptors in the business place now, companies like WeBuyAnyCar.com that will now take around 600,000 used cars directly off consumers and put them through auctions. So used car supply is the main issue. And I think the third major issue really for us is about staff, and particularly around vehicle technicians and customer advisors. Very challenging at this moment in time in terms of bringing new people into the organisation. We lost a number of people sort of post-COVID that decided to leave the industry. It's been very hard bringing new talent in, and the talent we are bringing in is not as skilled as the talent that has gone.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of our biggest challenges, but not just vehicle technicians. Recruitment into the motor industry in general is very hard compared to what it was. They're probably the 3 biggest challenges we face. Of course, interest rates being very high as well. That's having a very negative effect.
Final question. A quick comment about the agency model and what you are thinking about the introduction of such a model also in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. So as a group, we've only gone with one brand at the minute on agency, very small numbers. Hasn't had too much of an impact short term because it's only one brand. I think there are some positives to agency. I think there are some negatives to agency. I think the positives are, we've just talked about stocking charges going through the roof. Well, of course, under agency, technically that disappears. Things like demonstrator costs will disappear. But whereas we're just finding at the moment in the UK, it's becoming more of a sort of an action-packed market again. In COVID, there was virtually no discount of anything. There was no stock. We almost need to be in a position of being able to deal now, and of course with agency we can't. So that's my concern for agency. I'm very open-minded about it. I'm watching very closely what's happening in certain parts of Europe. Very open-minded, but probably a tad nervous as well.
Thanks, Darren, for really your very kind participation. It was a pleasure to hear your experience and also your vision for the automotive industry, especially in terms of retailer. And thanks for being with us in Italy.
Yeah, you're very welcome.